the story of the goodbye that burned. The sun was already low when Samuel sat on the old wooden bench outside his mother's house. The familiar scent of burning firewood drifted from the neighbor's kitchen, mixing with the faint aroma of roasted corn that a child sold by the roadside. It was his last evening in the little town he had always called home. At 26, Samuel had never been outside his country in West Africa. His world was filled with the dusty red earth, the laughter of children playing barefoot football, and the rhythmic beats of drums on festival nights. But lately, that world felt too small. Work was scarce, and his family lived day to day, his mother carrying burdens that Samuel had long wanted to lift off her shoulders. When the visa finally came, it felt like both a miracle and a sentence. He was going to Europe, a land that people in his town spoke about. The airport was louder than Samuel had imagined. Voices in languages he didn't understand echoed around him. Bright lights, polished floors, and electronic signs gave the place an otherworldly feel. He clutched his small backpack tightly. Inside it, the few belongings he had: a change of clothes, a worn photograph of his family, and a Bible his mother had pressed into his hands at the last minute. The plane ride was both terrifying and breathtaking. He had never seen clouds from above, soft and endless like cotton fields stretching into eternity. For a moment, Samuel allowed himself to dream of steady paychecks, of sending money home, of maybe even one day bringing his family to join him. But beneath those dreams was a heavy pit of anxiety. What if the stories he had heard about immigrants being treated badly were true? What if he failed? When he arrived in Europe, the cold hit him like months turned into a year, and Samuel began to learn the rhythm of his new life. The mornings were always cold, the kind of cold that crept into his bones no matter how many layers he wore. He worked different jobs, sometimes in warehouses, sometimes cleaning offices late at night, sometimes carrying heavy boxes until his arms shook. None of it was easy, but it was honest work. The language barrier was still his greatest wall. At first, he relied on hand gestures and broken words. But at night, after work, he would sit by the dim light of his shared room, headphones in, repeating words from a language learning app. He stumbled, mispronounced, laughed at himself, and tried again. Slowly, the strange sounds became less foreign. Despite his progress, there were darker days too. Some people treated him as though he was. 2 winters had passed since Samuel left home. By now, the city's rhythm no longer frightened him. He still struggled sometimes, but he had learned enough of the language to hold conversations, order food without stumbling, and even joke lightly with coworkers. His accent remained thick, but he wore it with pride. It was the sound of his roots. One cold morning, Samuel stood outside a job agency office, clutching a folder with his documents. His friend Jonas had encouraged him to apply for a training program in electrical work. "You're smart, Samuel," Jonas had said. "You can't carry boxes forever. This could change everything." The interview was nerve-wracking. He stumbled through some sentences, but he was honest about his hard work and eagerness to learn. Weeks later, when the acceptance letter arrived, Samuel could hardly believe it. The New Horizon spring arrived, bringing softer skies and trees dressed in green again. By then, Samuel had completed his training and secured a stable job as an electrician's assistant. His pay was better, the work steadier, and for the first time since arriving, he could breathe without fear of not making rent. The day he signed the lease for a small one-bedroom apartment, he felt a quiet pride swell in his chest. It wasn't much, the walls were plain, the furniture second-hand, but it was his. That evening, he video-called his mother and showed her the place. She clapped her hands with joy, saying, "My son, you are standing tall." His sister, now a teenager, waved excitedly from behind her, wearing her school uniform. Not all was perfect. Samuel still battled loneliness at times. He missed the smell of the rain on African soil, the laughter of cousins during festivals,